The Pit Press Podcast.
Get a chance to see Ehrlicher, the linebacker, who they say has the potential to be the best defensive player they've ever had in New Mexico.
Looking down the middle, throwing into coverage, and it's picked off by New Mexico. You can hear the no, but Christian Washington says yes, yes, yes! Christian Washington! I don't need to take a knee. I want 6. Touchdown, New Mexico! And Kendrick back through the air where he struggled. That time right on the money.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pit Press Podcast. My name is Ryan Tamori. We're staying busy. We have a new football coach and then another basketball game, and then the women play again. It's busy. It's keeping me from gambling, Ed. As always, I'm joined by the Lobo fan since 1970 and the voice of Western New Mexico. His name is Mr. Ed Nunez. Ed, how are you doing? Thank you for joining, as always.
Doing great, Ryan. Looking forward. We got some great guests and, some fellow Highland Hornets of legendary, both of them. So glad to have them on.
The lone token St. Pius Sarton, and nobody knows what the hell a Sarton is. Anyway, hey, as you mentioned, our two guests that are joining us today, the news released, we were able to report it, and official this morning through UNM, Bronco Mendenhall is the 33rd head football coach in the University of New Mexico's history. So what not better to have two former players? They both happen to be Highland High School grads and UNM football alumni. One was a safety for the Lobos from 2005 to 2009. He had 163 tackles as a Lobo, but when we had him on previously, was dynamic as a punt returner for Rocky Long. In 2008, he returned 20 punts for 236 yards. That's nearly 20 yards a return. His name is Ian Clark. My man, how are you today? Thank you for joining us on such short notice.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thanks for having me back on. It's a pleasure.
And our other guest, who I can remember watching all those years ago, when Ed said, hey, I got this gentleman coming on, I was like, man, just the lineage of running backs that UNM had produced, over so many years there. He's a former fullback for the University of New Mexico. He played for the Lobos from 1998 through 2002 and compiled 2,216 rushing yards and 19 TDs in 4 years under Rocky Long. He was a fifth-round draft pick for the Houston Texans. His name is Jarrod Baxter. Very excited to talk to this gentleman. How are you? And thank you for joining the show.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm doing quite well this Wednesday evening. Doing well.
Perfect. And I hope I had all those stats right, because Dontrell Moore calls me out all the time.
I saw that, and that's close enough.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's what, half the season for him. So
Dontrell's a prima donna, man. Don't let him get in your head. No,
I'm taller than him. That's all I got.
I should had I gotten to know you, Jarrod, before this, I definitely would have included that in the intro. I'm my bad on that. But bottom line, hey, to both of you, thank you for joining us. This is a question for both of you, and I'll start with you, Ian. Were you surprised that Danny Gonzalez was dismissed Thanksgiving weekend, so about 2 weeks ago?
Honestly, I was very surprised. I didn't expect that. I thought for sure he was going to have another year, and I would actually – funny thing about it, I think I was talking to Ned probably like 4 days prior to that, asking him, what his insight was, because, he's very involved right now. And he was positive that he was going to stick around for another year. So that, gave me some excitement, because we started getting some momentum going at the end of the year. So a little disappointing, but see what the future holds.
And I throw that to you, Jarrod. Were you surprised that Danny Gonzalez was dismissed?
Surprised? No, disappointed, obviously. Like, just when Gonz got the job and throughout the years, just we've been excited and really wanted him to succeed for a number of reasons. But he surprised, no, I'm not shocked. just because of the timing of everything, just because of the 4 years. And now we see there were some coaches on the horizon possibly to hire, may have had to jump on it, things like that. That's the business side of it that I'm not surprised about. I was hopeful that he'd get another year again with the momentum that you have at the end of the year. Hopefully that can carry forward with recruits and kids and coming in the last year. I was hopeful that he would get another year.
You know, another question for both of you. Bronco Mendenhall comes highly regarded. You know, he really does. And, you know, Marv Levy was the coach of the New Mexico Lobos way back when. Bob King was already hired. Dennis Franchione wasn't a name when he was here. Rocky Long was a favorite son, but Bronco Mendenhall has, you know, a great resume. Do you think, along with the hiring of Steve Alford as UNM basketball coach, is this the splashiest hire UNM has had? And now, Jarrod, I'll go to you first on that.
Oh, that I would say yes, just because of the track record that you mentioned and his experience plus victories, the total shebang. I know we were bringing Alford. That was a big deal. And then, you know, we've had a couple, you know, strong hires that may have had some publicity, but this is probably the biggest national hire we've had because of his track record, because of his history the last 17 years.
Ian, go to you on that question.
I would have to agree with what Jarrod said. Of course, I'm a little biased. I'm a Rocky Long guy, so to me, that's the gold standard for UNM football. But outside of that, my own personal opinion, yeah, most definitely. I mean, this is a name we've heard about for years, and so it's. I was very surprised. I think a lot of people were interested and hopeful that, you know, UNM would pursue Zach Arnett, which would have been great. But I mean, I think it's a good decision. I'm interested to see where things go, and you know, just kind of thinking on it after you and I chatted a little bit this afternoon is like, what does the future hold, you know, under this coach right now? And seems pretty promising. Sure, I mean, he's looking for a challenge, and he's got one.
You know, there's no question about that, Ian. Again, this is a question for both of you. And I was listening to 610 this morning about the kind of recruits that Coach Mendenhall may be looking at. UNM lost a lot in the transfer portal. That was going to happen. But with Coach Mendenhall coming on, he's going to be looking for a different kind of player, different kind of offensive lineman. I heard a lot of talk about that. Ian, to you first. What kind of recruits do you expect Coach Mendenhall to be looking at?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to get back to is that hard-nosed football, defensive football that UNM is known for. And that's what I would expect he is going to go after. You know, my biggest concern is New Mexico likes local guys. And, you know, you don't get a lot of opportunities outside of New Mexico when you're a New Mexico kid. So I just hope that he will continue to look inward. But I think he's looking for some hard-nosed players that are willing to – coachable guys. You know, I think that's something that's missing from the game right now. It's a lot of things are getting soft these days, and that's just my personal opinion. But I think he's looking for some coachable guys that are tough and want to bang.
And Jarrod?
I think the same. It's just it's funny you mentioned Coach Long just because we caught up. Obviously, Coach Long was there after my redshirt freshman year. I only actually played for Coach Long, so from '98, and with Coach Mendenhall coming in, and both of their attitudes towards toughness and being hard nosed. We caught a couple of years ago. I think BJ Long and I and Henry Stevens. We went on a guys trip or something to Durango a couple of years ago, and we caught him on the street, and we ended up having dinner with him and everything. And the first thing he said was, "You just need a bunch of tough guys." He didn't say guys, but he said, "You need a bunch of tough guys. That's what you need." And then we can add, like I think we talked earlier, you can add some flashy guys, you can add some speed here, but you need a bunch of tough guys first. Now, where are you going to get those guys from? And who's going to go get the guys for you? Definitely, I think, you know, Franchione the coaches we've had that have had success have done a good job getting kids from everywhere, making sure they had their local guys, making sure they found at least try to recruit the 5 Division I athletes that came out my year in '97, and there's more now. But there's still a limited number. There are, but you have to go get them. You have to go find them. And the coaches have to feel like you are aggressively going to get them, even though there's a limited number of scholarships. Where are you going to go get those hard-nosed kids from Texas? Who's going to go get them and bring them in the building? I think that's the most important thing is who's going to go get these kids that are attracted to toughness, stability, family, growth, all those things.
Jarrod, again, a question. Don't worry, guys. We do have individual questions for each of you. Just touching on both of it. Bronco Mendenhall left UVA. He said he seemed ready for a new challenge. I think he was, at a ranch in Montana. Are you surprised? And Jarrod, I'll start with you. Are you surprised that he picked UNM? And this isn't like ragging or anything. This is a program that is, I think, 49-129 since Rocky left. But it seems like he's embracing the challenge. But are you shocked that he picked UNM?
No, I'm not shocked. I'm not sure. He was on I think he was on the list, on the shorter list for most of those jobs that came open the last few weeks. I'm not exactly sure of those, but I'm not shocked that he picked UNM. I mean, I think he had a solid experience here before he left, and then he knows the region, he knows the conference, and he knows the type of kid that we have generally in New Mexico, and how New Mexico approaches football is important. So I think he understands that. I'm not shocked. I obviously don't know his reasons, but I remember reading articles when he retired. Not retired. I'm sorry. When he stepped back and just knowing who he is and the type of man he is. I'm not surprised he wants to come and build something. That builder mentality and his spirit that he's stated multiple times. I'm not surprised he wants to come and build something. And there's something here. I think that's the key. There's something here. There's something here in the Mountain West. There's something here in New Mexico and Albuquerque, up and down I-25, moving I-40. There's something here to build on. So he believes that, else he wouldn't come. Challenge or not, he wouldn't be here if there was nothing to build upon. That's
a really good answer, Ian. I pose that question to you.
No, I wouldn't say that I'm shocked. I think, it kind of falls in line with, I'll totally misquote it, but something along the lines of what Deion Sanders said when he chose to go to Buffalo is basically something about the keys to a Ferrari, right? I find it very interesting that, people that are successful, they look for a challenge. You're not looking for a layup, especially at this point in his coaching career. He's had a ton of accomplishments. Why would you want to walk into something that, at this point he obviously wants to be challenged, and not only a challenge of developing a winning football program, but winning the hearts over of New Mexico fans. I mean, you look in the stands towards the end of the year, and it's bleak. I mean, you're probably getting more attendance at a high school championship game than you are any UNM football game. So there's a lot of other challenges outside of just developing a winning football program that has historically been on a losing streak for years. So I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to come in and, back up his name and his legacy and just add to that.
And again, look at how he talks, look at how he speaks, look at how he acts, look at how he carries himself, just his family, his approach to life. And I'm not shocked at all how he's going to be a builder.
One quick comment, Ryan. I know you got a question in both Jarrod and Ian. Ian, you mentioned that it's a heck of a challenge, right? It really is, because you mentioned that, Ian. He doesn't want to walk into something that's already built, and he did that at BYU and great success at BYU in Virginia. But the program here, we can say, since Coach Long left, Coach Loxley didn't have much success. Coach Davey got UNM to 2 bowls. That did move the attendance meter. And Coach Gonzalez, 11-32. So no question, it is a very big challenge for Coach Mendenhall, and one that I think I'm excited to see him embrace. Go ahead, Ryan. I just wanted to make that comment real quick.
I do this a lot, and I'm very, very candid in how I choose my words here. And I know this is like a basic comment. Both of those answers from you guys I thought were awesome. I truly appreciate that, and I think our listeners will like that. Ian, I'll start with you on this question. Do you think that Bronco asked for some commitments on his side, better facilities, assistant coach's salary, you know, et cetera. Do you think he's looking for that as well as a part of this challenge?
I think it would be naive of him not to. I think he's from what I know with Coach Mendenhall, he's looks to take care of his people. An article I read, something about Coach Gonzalez was like the second lowest paid coach in the conference. And so, I mean, I don't really know how that world works. You know, I just know that those guys work endless hours. And so I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I would hope that would be the case, because it would only mean an improvement for our team and for the staff that he hires and brings on board. It would mean improvements for the facilities, the opportunity for these kids to learn and have everything at their disposal that they need to develop a winning football program. So I would hope that's the case.
Jarrod, I pose that question to you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he asked for what he needed and what he wanted. And I hate to put it that way, but he asked for what he needed. If he didn't ask for anything, he didn't need anything. That's what I just believe from him. So I would go as far as to guess that he wanted to make sure his people were taken care of. I just know that good head coaches have good staffs. Good head coaches have good assistants that can, somewhat carry half the program themselves as coordinators and things like that. So, and they likely go on to have a decent, solid coaching tree, as everybody likes to discuss and argue about. But in order to do that, you have to pay people, and you have to give people an opportunity and things like that for success and growth. So I know he's all about growth, and hopefully he's asked for exactly what he needs to get that done.
Ian, you mentioned things being a little bit soft now when you played. Frankie Sullivan, Blake Lagone, yourself. There was some real dogs, as you mentioned, on defense. What do you think we can expect from Coach Mendenhall's approach on defense? You and him struggled, on defense in a lot of games. So what do you think with his approach? He's a proponent or student of the 3-3-5 as defensive coordinator here from 1998 to 2002. What can we expect from Coach Mendenhall on defense?
I think we can expect to get back to banging. And that's, just my term that I like to use and reference is the head busters, man. Somebody that's going to come out there and smack them in the mouth, whether we win or lose, they're going to feel it. They're going to know that they just got done playing UNM. And so that's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm hoping to see. And yeah, I think, it's a lot of it is for the safety of the players, and I totally understand that. And there's times where I'm watching football and I get upset with the calls nowadays. So I understand the precautions and, taking player safety into concern. But I think at the same time, from being you have to be coachable. You have to be somebody that's willing to take constructive criticism. And I think this is the type of guy we need, somebody that's going to be a no-nonsense kind of coach. And so, it's early to tell, but too early to tell. I mean, let's see when he gets in here, and I'm just looking forward to what he can bring to the table.
I think he brings a lot of toughness. And when you mentioned that, Ian, back in the day, your teams certainly didn't lack for any toughness at all. Jarrod, same kind of question for you on the offensive side, said that Bronco kind of likes to run an air raid type of offense. They haven't had much success with that here. They tried a little bit of not an air raid. They had, better quarterback in Dylan Hopkins and some good receivers. It did have some success, but not a lot of it. What do you see the Lobos working up? Or do you see the Lobos having success with that kind of offensive approach as far as an air raid and maybe something that Coach Mendenhall's had success? But what do you see here as far as offensively what Coach Mendenhall might want to do?
I hesitate to speak to scheme just because, it's a copycat league. We always used to say it in the NFL, and same thing with college. You have a certain scheme and a certain plan for how you want to, whether you're going to control the ball or you want to move the ball or you want to use the kids that you have. So, I think they've been kind of spread and kind of air raid. Yeah, they'll have to continue that, but I trust that they're going to tweak that based on the kids that they have. whether we're going to run the ball more. I know we're going to control the ball. I know we're going to run the football. I know that. And that's key to everything, as we know. As much as you're going to spread out the ball and throw it around, then that means you have a replacement for inside runs with quick throws and short throws and movement and alignments and things like that. And, whatever the case is, we're going to control the ball, and I expect to do it by running it, no matter the scheme.
Ian, I'm going to throw this question your way, and this is my opinion. And I didn't play the game, but been around the UNM program for on and off the last 14 years now. I'm sounding like an old man, but anyway, I always say it doesn't matter, like in your aspect of life, man. I use the old Mike Tyson analogy, and forgive my impression. Everybody's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth. But Jerry Kill changed the football. It was a terrible impression. That's why I'm not a stand-up comedian. Jerry Kill changed the football culture at NMSU. I firmly believe that Bronco is part of a hire to punch back at NMSU. Do you think the hiring of Bronco Mendenhall is a step towards doing the same thing, what Jerry Kill is doing at NMSU here at UNM?
Honestly, I think it's more than that. I think for us as former Lobos, we understand the importance of the rivalry. And, when I was coming up under Coach Long, that was the gold standard. You don't lose to NMSU. So from that standpoint, yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. But I think the bigger picture is we need a winning program. I don't think it's necessarily geared solely towards NMSU. It'd be great to knock them off their pedestal right now. Can't stand them. But it's been great for New Mexico football at the same time. But I don't think that's the sole purpose. So to answer your question, no, not necessarily. I think it's a bigger picture than that. I think, we want to develop a winning program and change the culture here and get the stands filled again.
Jarrod, I pose that question to you too.
I think the rivalry is great when UNM is good and New Mexico State is good. And if we're talking about New Mexico being down the last 11 years, oh, goodness gracious, 11 years already or longer, then the rivalry isn't quite the conversation that we all want it to be. That's right. We want it to be a rivalry that is on Rivalry Week and it's on TV, just like the other major conferences and major bigger schools. Like that's when it should be played, not early in the season. Nothing like that. It should be right around that conference time where it costs somebody something. So we want that to be the case. However, as soon as you asked the question to Ian, I thought the same thing. That's secondary in terms of bringing the program back and, getting a win getting a win in 4 to 5 years of a coaching staff that's the same. And that has built on the 1, 2, 3 year leap to success and all those things. So we're looking for that now. I know the administration is looking for the same. Our fans are looking for the same. So that's the driving force. And they really think you can do it. I think they thought they were close. Letting Coach Gonzalez go, yes, they felt was necessary, but I still think they were close. The way they speak about things and their actions up to this point, I think they were close. And I think Gonzalez was close too, particularly with his perspective on in-state recruiting. But Coach Mendenhall should be a leap forward, particularly based on the things we've been talking about today.
I just want to say, Ed, before the last question, it was nice to hear a player who played in this rivalry and is a UNM football alumni to say, hey, they should probably play like Thanksgiving weekend. I would love that, but that's just my opinion. I think it'd be awesome. Ed, back to you.
Last question for both of you. And, we had to bring this up, me being a Highland guy. Both of you are Highland legends, Jarrod. You were just inducted to our Highland Sports Hall of Fame in our first class, and we're real proud to have you as part of that class. Ian, I think you're going to be in there somewhere down the line. But as former Highland High legends who played for the legendary Judge Chavez, we had to ask this. What are your recollections of him? First to you, Jarrod, and then we'll go to Ian. What are your recollections of Coach Chavez?
Hold on. It's a Question. It's a trap question. Hold on. All right. So I can tell you that he's the same guy that he was when I was at Kirtland Elementary, and he did the PE. He did the PE for school. I know he wasn't teaching there full time, and you can switch over. So he was our PE teacher, and we'd come out, and I think whatever we did, we competed, but he had fun with it. He was just, hey, let's go. Come on, Spoon. They used to call me Spoon because I gave myself that nickname for some reason. We filmed some sort of competition or something with Kevin and Carl McIntyre. They went to it, like all of those things. So he's that guy, and he was that guy while he was pushing us, and he was that guy when he called me a joker against Los Ludes when I wasn't focused, and I figured it after the fact. So, pushing, being about team, and taking care of business and things like that from Coach Chavez. I really appreciate the things he helped instill in us. And again, had great coaches along with him. Obviously, Coach Sanchez, Battles, even our baseball coaches that come in that I've said a bunch of times before. He had good staff with him while he was there. So, I appreciate that from him of helping kids go from boys at Kirtland Elementary School to men. And, that's a greater purpose for what we're doing. And again, tie back to Coach Mendenhall. I believe he believes that wholeheartedly with his soul. I'm excited for that.
Ian, same question to you. What's your recollections of Coach Chavez?
I think we've spoken about this. I'm glad you asked me about Coach Chavez pretty much every time we talk, because I have such a high affinity for Coach Chavez. I think that, for me coming in, all my life when I was in Yaffle, I played running back. I was always a running back. And when I got to Highland, we didn't have a quarterback. And so they put me in that role. And I was just used to running the ball. And so I was just thinking about this the other day, actually. I remember he had me start the very last game as a varsity quarterback my sophomore year, because he wanted me to get experience and get prepared for my junior and senior year. And I remember just trying to be a pocket passer because, I thought I was going to get in trouble if I tried to run the ball. And I remember jogging off the field and him telling me, just run the ball. He believed in me. He knew how to get the best out of me. And I also, credit my dad for being tough on me all those years, because it taught me how to be, just like I was talking about before, one of those coachable players. I think some of the kids that didn't quite understand Coach Chavez felt that he was always picking on them. And I don't think that was the case. It was because he believed in you and he just wanted to get the best out of you. And to Jarrod's point, people don't know. Everybody always knows the little short guy that's yelling at you, putting his hands around his throat, calling you a choker. Right? I don't know how hilarious the guy was off the field, man. I mean, we'd have our battles on the field, but after practice, I'd go hang out in his office, hang out. He'd crack jokes, and it was all hugs, man. One of the best coaches I've ever had. Him and like Jarrod said, Coach Sanchez. Coach Sanchez with a little bit more of a softer approach, but same thing. He believed in me, believed in all of his athletes, and I think it takes a tremendous, very tremendous, big-hearted person to coach kids, because it's a thankless job, and a lot of times these people are, they're not getting paid the best. They love what they do, which is developing kids, and Coach Chavez did that for so long, and was very successful. And so my recollections of Coach Chavez, I hold him to the highest regards.
We appreciate both of you, both Highland High School alumni and UNM football alumni. Ian Clark, Jarrod Baxter, I want to thank you guys for taking time out of a busy weekday to join us here and talking to us. It was much appreciated. And Ian, back to you. Thanks for joining us again, man. We really appreciate it, and I know Ed does.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Ed.
We appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
Thank you, too.
Take care, Jarrod.